Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Welcome back, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
Welcome back to this thing about quotes that we've been doing. If you didn't listen to the last episode, we want to encourage you to do that because we are spending last time and this time focusing our conversation on quotes that came from people like you, people working in the field, instead of, well-known celebrities, authors, educators.
It's nice to hear from people in the field.
Absolutely.
That's what we're doing every day is working with the kids.
Absolutely. And before we share this week's quote with you and discuss it, we want to let you know that you are welcome to submit to us quotes or anything else. You just have to go and find us, either our Facebook page, How Preschool Teachers Do It Facebook page.
Yes.
Or go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, and send us the contact form. If you are using the Spaces by Wix app, feel free to contact us through that app. You can learn how to do that on our website. So please share, because we are happy to share like we did last week and like we're doing today.
Yeah.
Today's quote comes from Glenda Walker, who gave us permission to use her name. Thank you so much, Glenda. Glenda and I were having a conversation about what's going on in the early childhood world. And Glenda said to me, programs need to get out of the COVID ditch. And I loved that image. And I said to her, the COVID ditch. And I sort of started laughing. I said, I love that. And she said she has an image of people like in a deep, dark ditch trying to claw their way out, but being dragged back down.
Yes.
And they also, as they're trying to claw their way out, maybe it's a little wet and muddy and they can't quite grasp on and get out of there. I loved that image because I really do feel like that's so much of what's happening in early ed right now. And Glenda didn't say individual people need to get out of the ditch. No. She said programs need to get out of the ditch.
It's not the individual people.
It is not. I think it's not any longer.
Yeah.
I've had so many people come to me and say things like, I know we should be doing that. And my program said, no, not anymore since the pandemic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It used to be, I think, and when we've talked about COVID-related things in the past, it was individuals more saying, I don't want to do this in my class because we've gotten to the point now where, when is this episode? It's releasing in the summer. We've
at least 3 years, I think, at this point, right?
It's like more, and we've gotten to the point where people are moving their lives forward. Mm-hmm. And it's the programs, the schools saying, no, we're not going back to that.
Yeah.
Program people, administrators and principals, get your people out of the ditch. Send the rope down, pull them out.
Your people. Yes. Yeah. Rescue your people from this ditch. Instead of pushing them back down into it, which is what I feel like I hear that all the time. Like, no, it's COVID. I'm like,
right. But coming from administrators,
yes,
even
administration, not me.
It's administration saying things like, we're not bringing sand and water back into these classrooms. And then I talk to individual teachers who say, I want to bring the sand back. The kids need the sand. They won't let me bring the water and sand back.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone the other day say to me, I know it's messy, I'm like, okay, early childhood should be somewhat messy because it's sensory.
But I also feel like they only use this COVID excuse when it's something they don't want to do, like clean up sand. But it's like, you administration are not in my classroom cleaning it. I am. So if I'm willing to take that on, what do you care if I'm willing to sweep up sand? That's what I don't understand.
That was very valid.
Yes. But if you would like to come clean up sand, come on in. But you're not. You're never in there doing the nitty gritty like I am.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I've heard it about that. I've heard it about, it's so interesting when I talk about this, about families entering programs. Super interesting. So during the pandemic, many programs set up drop off and pickup outside,
Yes.
which was totally reasonable at the time.
Yes.
After when regulations went back to, you can let families back in, because, and it was regulations. Let me back up a second. I'm going to back up. It was where we are. It was really the state of New Jersey who said, no, don't have the families come into the program.
Yes.
Okay. So that was reasonable during that time. And then that time passed and regulations started to go back to, no, you have to have an open door policy. And at that time, my experience, which may not be yours, folks,
Right.
but my experience was teachers were saying to me, classroom teachers were saying to me, oh, we it's so much easier without the families coming in with their children. We want the program to keep doing drop off and pickup, which outside, which some people are still frankly enjoying. But here's what I'm hearing now. People are saying to me, I feel like I knew the children so much better when when I saw them with their families for more than 2 seconds coming out of a car. Or people have said to me, I would like to invite the families in to participate in this project or study that we're doing, and my program won't let me invite them. And I'm talking about for special events and participation in the classroom.
Special events, participation, mystery readers, that went bye-bye.
Yeah. Can't invite some programs are like, we can't invite.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I want them to mystery read at the very least? I mean, like, why wouldn't you want them in for a special event?
I don't know, but
it's weird to me.
I marginally understand.
What are you hiding? That's what I feel like.
They're probably not hiding. I don't know.
No, doesn't it make you feel like, as a parent, that's what I think I would feel like if I was a parent and you said, no, you can't come in ever. I'd be like, wait, what are you hiding?
I marginally understand drop off and pick up outside.
Yeah.
And I know of programs that have always done that, even before the pandemic. Yeah. It was just the better system.
I work at a school that does that because we have the buses. It's a public school, so it's the buses, and the parents don't come inside to drop off. It's fine, but that's just the type of program it is.
I understand that. I get that. Yeah. But to say to teachers, no, you're not allowed to invite families in to read a book, and you're not allowed to invite families in to participate in your study topic. With the children, and you're not allowed to invite families in to do this. I totally don't understand that. One person told me, and it's almost similar to something that you told me, but a little different, that we're going to discuss in another episode. But one person told me that the families were allowed to come to a parade that was taking place because it was outdoors. But if it had rained that day, then they wouldn't have been uninvited.
Yes. I just had this at my school with this.
The same thing?
Yes, they said if it was outside, parents could come. If it was inside, they were not allowed.
You are uninvited.
And that's what was in the invite. It was like, if this turns into a rain indoor event, it will be a child only event.
So my question is, if you invited them to see it outdoors, what value did you think it had to have the families there? And why does that value go away if you have to be indoors?
Right. And to me, in the school I'm currently in, that had nothing to do with COVID. That had to do with, like, they didn't want to manage that many people indoors, and because they didn't have that excuse of the COVID. It was just, that's too much to manage. And that's what I'm saying. They're using this COVID excuse as like, we don't want to deal with that.
We don't want to manage
that.
So we're going to say COVID.
We're going to say COVID because everybody will be like, oh, COVID, we get it. We want you to be safe. But like, that's not the real reason.
In some cases.
Correct.
Well, by this time,
it's not now.
No, I go to the doctor without a mask now.
Yeah.
So how valid is that excuse for anything? Okay. Also, so you mentioned mystery readers.
Yes.
Also, any other visitor. Like, I was talking to people who I was explaining to them about project-based learning and how it's ideal to go on field trips and invite visitors, and we'll get to field trips in a minute.
Yeah.
But inviting visitors is a very important part of digging into learning with children. And one of the programs who was on that call, someone unmuted and said, we used to invite people from the fire department, the police department, the postal service. She was listing all sorts of people that used to come in. She said, in my program, we couldn't do the field trips ever, but we were allowed to invite these people in. So they used to seek agencies, organizations, government, where they would send people in. And she said, we used to have such rich visitors. So this school year, this past school year, the 2023-24 school year, she went to the administrator in her program and said, I want to invite the fire department, the police department, the postal service, whoever. I want to invite them again because it was so great. And they said, nope, we're not doing that ever since COVID. Why at this point?
I don't understand that at all. That's wacky. What is your reasoning at this point? Like you said, I could walk into a hospital right now and not wear a mask. I could walk into a doctor.
That's right.
I could walk anywhere and not wear a mask.
I have visited someone in the hospital and it was July 2023.
Yes.
And I was not required to be masked. So it's a year ago.
And you're not allowing special guests into your school. Like, why?
Except for the management thing, it's inexplainable. I think
the management, because any of those people, like, if you think that these children are not going to the post office with their parents or the supermarket or seeing these people in public and other places, you're crazy, because they are, because there is no restrictions anymore. You're just using this as an excuse, and it's hurting your program.
It is.
And it's hurting your children.
It is. And field trips are always a challenge. I want to acknowledge that. Field trips, and I used to take students on them and go on them, and it's stressful for the adults. Super stressful.
It totally is.
Super stressful, which is why we don't do a field trip every week.
Yeah,
it's like a major special event.
It's like once a year. Like, come on.
Like major special events.
Yeah.
So, but they are important.
Yes.
They give children a chance to learn in a different setting from different people. It's an exciting thing that keeps them interested in whatever you're working on with them. It provides them with valuable lessons and insights and experiences related to the real world. And I'm consistently hearing, we haven't done field trips since COVID. We aren't allowed.
Yeah. We did an entire episode on the importance of field trips.
Go back and find it.
You can find it because that's how important they are. And yet it is one of the things that they took away because of COVID. And it really has nothing to do with that. If the kids are riding the bus now to get to school, at least in my school, they are riding the bus to get there. And yet they are not allowed to ride the bus to go on a field trip because of COVID.
Right.
It makes no sense.
When I was speaking with Glenda, who gave us this quote. I think we were talking about things like sand and water.
Yes.
If I recall correctly.
You know this, the beaches are open. Water that everybody shares, and you can't put sand and water on the table.
It's giving me a headache.
It's true. Sure, Cindy, where everybody's flocking to. We can't have sand in our classroom in a little box.
Maybe some of the people who are listening don't live by the shore, or they call it the beach because we call it the shore because we're from New Jersey. We go down the shore.
Yes, but I'm telling you, there's people down the shore right now playing in that sand.
Even if you live south of the shore areas that people go to, we call it going down the shore, just so you know. Maybe there are people listening to the podcast who don't live near a beach. Yes. Okay, but I just want you all to know that where we are, we're very near the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
And lakes. We have lakes in our state. And
I'm pretty sure they've been open since 2021. I'm pretty sure.
Fairly certain. So the children are experiencing sand and water, but not in our early childhood programs, which though I'm laughing with that, we laugh because we're pained.
Yes.
It makes no sense.
We laugh because it's true. I mean, like, and it does not compute. The math is not mathing, as some people would say.
The math is not mathing. Who would have ever thought when we went to sit and record this episode and discussed Glenda's quote that this would end up making us laugh from confusion.
Yes.
I truly don't understand. Children, folks, you know how you used to have the people come in or you went to the grocery store to learn about shopping? Yeah, they're going to stores with their children. I can go on like this forever.
The store is open. There was a point closed. Honestly, they never closed. You just had to.
And they're going, they're going everywhere with their parents.
Everywhere with their parents.
So why can't the parent come in and read a book? The children are going everywhere. It's not like when there were lockdowns and people were so afraid that they weren't taking their children out. It's not like that. So they're being exposed to all sorts of things all the time. This past winter, so many programs told me about illnesses that were going around viciously in their early childhood programs because of the children's reintroduction to some of these germs, right?
Yes.
Is part of the reason.
Part of it,
and the weather probably played a part. But they were telling me about all the germs and the sicknesses. So even to say something like, well, we're not going to bring in the parents because we're trying to avoid illness. I don't think you avoided it. I think it was.
I actually think it makes it worse because I think the more you shield them from the germs, the less they experience the germs, right? And I feel like you need to be exposed to those germs in order to fight your body to fight it. And when you're not, then your body's like, oh wait, this is new. Let me get sick. I feel like that's part of it.
I don't know. It's just not making sense.
Yes.
Not only is it not making sense, but it's taking away from the early childhood education that these children are getting. How many people have said, so many, that because of the time spans that the children were teaching today spent in pandemic, lockdown, and fear situations, that they're coming to our programs with less understanding of socialization, self-help skills. They don't know how to play.
Yes.
So many people are saying this, but then we're still programs and schools are still restricting it.
You're like putting them in this like little box and making it so that they can't interact. If you're working with 3 and 4 year olds right now, they were born in the pandemic. Like that's it. Like, and you could see the difference sometimes is like they didn't get the socialization for the first 2 years of their life.
100%.
So why would we continue to want that for them?
Because what you're doing, programs in schools, when you say, we're not doing that ever again, is you are taking the learning and development that took place during those time frames and you're removing it entirely from their early childhood, because now is when they have the opportunity to do it. They didn't have the opportunity in 2020 and probably 2021.
Yes.
So now they are older and we have the opportunity to introduce them to these things and these people and places and these activities, and we're not taking advantage of it. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to walk in when I do observations and consulting. And I walk in and see things that have never came back, still not back in early childhood classrooms. I'm like, why? The only reason I ever get is, oh, we haven't done that since the pandemic, or we haven't done that since COVID-19.
Yeah.
There's someone give me a really great reason. And if you think of one, go and contact us. We are more likely now to get emails and messages in Facebook that say, I loved this episode about the ditch. That's my life.
Yes.
Right?
Well, because it's a constant fight. If you're a teacher in a classroom, it is a constant fight because you want to do it and you're willing to take that on, and you get like, nope, sorry, COVID. And you're like, all right, I guess I'm stuck not doing it.
Listen,
it's not.
I feel like in most other ways for many other people, now not everyone, if you are immunocompromised,
right, I get it,
totally get the extra caution.
Yeah,
but many people have gone back in their lives to doing all these other things in everywhere but our school buildings, I think.
I know.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to read the quote again, just like we did last week. We read it toward the end of the episode, just in case, because we don't want people to have to go, oh, I have to rewind it, get that quote. Yeah. I encourage those of you who are struggling with this in your programs, just take the link to this episode and, I don't know, put it on a desk or somewhere.
Slip it into email to somebody.
Just slip it as part of your signature. Just put it in there. So the quote from Glenda Walker, and thank you very much, Glenda, for letting us use it and use your name. Programs need to get out of the COVID ditch. Amen, sister.
Yes.
Okay, folks, we will catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.
You look pained. All right. Bye, peeps.
Bye.